I'm on mic. Alright, there we go. Alright, for some reason I had a huge moment where I forgot that my microphone wasn't under my sources, that it was under my mixer. So let's get started. Oh, I forgot to switch the game we're actually playing. I'm getting off to a great start. Alright, let's open up Pinball and get started. Hey everybody, happy Saturday. Yeah, let's play this for an hour. And then we'll jump into Sky Skipper, which is a game I've been interested in streaming for... Well, I've been playing it for... I've been interested in it well before I ever imagined there would come a day where I'd be able to legitimately play this game on a Nintendo system. Let alone be able to stream it. And once I knew I'd be getting into streaming, I held off on... I think this game came out in... Oh yeah, I'm getting... Hey, Kyle. Hey, Kyle. Sorry I haven't been able to make it to a lot of your streams lately. My new schedule makes it a little tough, but, you know, but I'll be able to make it sometimes still. So I figured, hey, I'll make this a bit of a Nintendo... early 80s Nintendo arcade day with an hour versus Pinball, and then I'll take a swing at Sky Skipper for the first time, which I never played before. I booted the game up on Nintendo Switch just to make sure that I wasn't sure what the aspect ratio of the game was going to be, because if it used a you know, the 4x3 monitor like versus Pinball does, then I really didn't have to change much for my layout for Sky Skipper. And sometimes even if it is like a square format, it'll be very slightly different when you actually look at it, when you actually... It's supposed to be the same aspect ratio, but there might be like a few pixels off and crop off a bit of the scoreboard or something like that. So, you know what? I want to move my timer over a bit. I had to for the first time ever, I had to redo my timer. Just by a few... about an hour ago, the original window capture for my timer went ahead and clonked out on me. And I believe Donkey Kong turned 40 either today or yesterday. And yeah, it's always good to see you, Kyle. Either today or yesterday, the original Donkey Kong turned 40, which means that Mario is actually 40 as well, but I think Nintendo's probably going to save that more for... I think Nintendo recognizes the 40th the anniversary of Mario. They kind of recognize it in terms of Super Mario Brothers, which, to be fair, I understand why, but the first Mario platforming game, strictly speaking, was Donkey Kong. So that's kind of cool that the series that's now officially 40. I remember years and years ago, I did a school project or something like that, and about the creation of Donkey Kong, and I did something about Shigeru Miyamoto. And sometimes you have teachers that get really, well, probably maybe less now than before, because this was a while ago I was talking about, yeah, where you had teachers that would, yeah, it was like, I think early in college, I did something about Shigeru Miyamoto for some class. I think it was, I just had to write about someone or something. I forgot exactly what the assignment was. But I did a thing about Shigeru Miyamoto and the creation of Donkey Kong, and she was really impressed by it. And she's like, oh, I'm surprised I'm really impressed that you're able to find out all this information about all this stuff, because it's so recent. And I was like, and I wasn't like trying to like, oh, well, actually, I wasn't like that, but I was like, well, you know, like, the first Mario game is over 20 years old now. I either said no, either Super Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, was like, I forgot which example I used. Both would have been true at the time, but like, you realize that, like, Super Mario Brothers is more than 20 years old. She was kind of surprised to realize that. It was this kind of thing where, in her head, she thought of, like, she was probably raising a kid who's probably in their 30s at the time this happened, which would have been close to 15 years ago, maybe, I'm guessing. A kid who's probably in her 30s at the time, who grew, or like mid to late 30s at the time, who grew up with the original NES as a little kid. And I guess in her head, she just thought of Nintendo and video games being such a recent or incoming thing. And it's kind of like with like the space shuttle. You kind of heard people talking about this, where we went from like the Apollo capsules on top of the Saturn rockets to having the space shuttle. And so the space shuttles became such an icon, the symbol of like, oh, this is the modern new way that we travel to space. And then when it came time to retire the shuttles because they were like getting around 40 years old, people were like, how could the shuttle be old? I always just thought of it as being like new and modern and super high tech. It's just sort of the paradigm surrounding the space shuttle. And so the idea that it was now like aging and ready to have the remaining orbiters go into museums to be exhibits forever was kind of a strange thing to mentally adjust to for a lot of people. And also another similar thing also happens to be an aircraft. The Concorde supersonic passenger jets. People, you know, I remember thinking of them as like, oh, that's the super advanced plane. The most, you know, in the future, more planes are going to be like the Concordes. And then they got retired in like, I think 2002. And it's like, yeah, the Concordes are like 40 years old now, or 50 years old or something like that. And I believe the Concordes at the time they were retired were some of the last commercially used passenger planes that had an onboard flight engineer with his own control panel separate from the pilot and co-pilot. Alright. Yeah, I don't care about... Wait a second. Alright. Alright, let's see. Now, I'm gonna try to play quasi-seriously, but not too seriously. But the thing is, pinball is always relaxed for me. But there are times I do try to focus a bit more, like, more seriously, like, aim for specific targets. I mean, I'm always aiming for specific targets, but, you know, I go, like, super, like, will I actually beat? Will I actually beat? There we go. There we go, that's what I was hoping for. The leader, there's a menu that you could pop up and look at the leaderboards, and that thing that says, 104th place, that's something I added in with my broadcast software. Alright, right back into the mix. Okay. Yeah, that's something I added manually. I'm no longer the top 100. It's really not... and the thing is, the people that are playing this competitively are only going to get better and better. So it's not especially likely. Saved Pauline when we saved Pauline on our first ball. I mean, talking about a competitive game. Saving Pauline at least once on the first ball, I feel like that's a sign that, you know, saving Pauline and getting a royal flush on the first ball is like always like a really great sign to me. That hey, this could be the game that puts me ahead. Yeah, so the leaderboards are updated automatically through Nintendo Switch. The leaderboards are only kept for this particular mode, and actually the online leaderboards are, the version of Skyscraper I'll be playing is also done by Hamster through their Arcade Archives service, so it also has what they call a Caravan mode, which is kind of a time attack mode, and online, and I guess, high score mode, which is where you can do the online, for spotting the online leaderboards. The only complaint I have about the online leaderboards is there is only a placing rank, just a place ranking, where it's like you're in 5th place, you're in 100th place. In my case right now, I was formerly in 88th place, I think. Now I'm on 104th place. I wish there was also a percentile ranking. So, because if you're not one of the best players, because I'm close to being in the top 100, that's a pretty concrete rank. If you're not one of the best players, I think what would be a lot more fun for me is to have a percentile ranking where I could see, alright, I was like frames away from scoring a second Pauline. I was frames away from, scoring a second Pauline. But I would like to be able to see, okay, my high score, my personal best score is better than 600 other players. You know, I believe in Smash Brothers for 3DS and Wii U has a has a percentile ranking for your score, and based on the single-player modes, like the break the targets and the sandbag hit mode and stuff like that. And I played Smash for 3DS, but I never seriously got into Smash. I only got Smash for 3DS hoping that maybe since I was still in college at the time, I'd play with my friends occasionally. It only happened maybe once or twice ever. And, yeah, getting some of those extra stats would be nice. Yeah, so that's why I kind of went and collected a bunch of those stats for myself. Like, in terms of, like, oh, my improvement rate is this, or here's how much I have to score to get to improve my ranking, and so forth. Some of the stats on the ticker down there might be obsolete by now. I don't know. But, oh, shucks. Alright. Yeah, so that wasn't the best. Hey, I got over... Any game where I get more than 50,000 isn't that bad. And I am going to score... I'm going to earn an extra ball for this game, actually. I'm going to get a bonus ball added at the end. Actually, this is the highest score I've gotten in a while. Yeah, alright, let's see if we can get to 10k. Or rather 100k. Ooh, no, I did not... I almost got there. Did not quite hit that tipping point. Use that as an excuse to get some water. Okay. And, okay. Yeah, the last stream I think I got to see was the one where you were doing more of your ranking stuff, Kyle, for all the games you played. I didn't get to take a close look. Is that for just what you played this year, or just what you've played since you started streaming? I just know it was a whole ton of games. And I was mentioning, I think, in Mecha's stream, that actually I have... No, I have... Let me pull this document up. I usually have it open already. So, you were played, like, everything... That was just since January. That's fantastic. I love it. Okay, so... That's, like, how many games were on that list? Because I know since... double the number of last year. Well, no, I mean, when you say in your little, like, synopsis thing, like, you give retro variety a whole new meaning, like, yeah, you legit... I just love the way you can just bounce from game to game. And I love your... I was saying something in the Megacon stream where it's like, what, you played, like, what, hundreds of games this... Hundreds of games? More than 100? I don't even know, just this year. Meanwhile, for me, I've played... I just checked my list. Once I play Sky Skipper, I will have played a total of 31 different titles since I started streaming in May of 2020. Yeah, getting close to 300 games. So you played 300 games this year. I've played 31 games since I started streaming. And I love... And I know, like, I just mentioned that casually. I think it was a Mecha stream or somewhere. Someone's like, oh, well, you know, don't be hard on yourself. You know, that's just Kyle's, like, style. I was like, no, I know that's Kyle's style. I love the way that you, like, cover so many different games in a short period of time. And I love sticking with my favorites to the point where whenever I introduce a new game, it's kind of a big deal. I love both. I love me doing my style, and I love watching your style. Like, I don't know necessarily if I would like to watch someone who streams with the pattern that I stream with, unless a couple of, in particular, games happen to be my favorites, and they frequently went back to them. But, I mean, Kyle, I mean, I like watching you. I like your... Hey, Royal Flush. Royal Flush on the first doggone ball. We're doing good. We got Royal Flush on the first ball of the game. Now, I do want to make a priority to restore my... Yes, I got my outlane stopper on the right back. You want to get that as soon as possible. My main hazard now is scoring... well, is really knocking my own ball back into the gutter. And since I do have the stoppers, I have the freedom to... and you can see the physics they programmed into the ball, how it bounces around... and I guess those bouncing cycles, impact the, the RNG, if you will, of how the ball's going to react when it hits different surfaces. Alright, so once again, we have a... Oh, that was close. We need to... Oh, boy, we need to get our outlane stoppers back. We're in... Oh, no! Okay, doggone. Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, even at like the slower pace we were playing like last year, of going from game to game, even those were like, hey, like that was you're burning through games, and I say that not in a negative sense, in a positive sense, because I feel like the way you play games, and I've said this frequently, a lot with your fighting games. It's kind of interesting because I was never really into fighting games, and certain puzzle games, like that puzzle game for 3DO2, is I guess watching your stream kind of reminds me a lot of my experience with my brother of renting games back in the 90s. Especially renting PS1. I feel like we ended up getting more of the... Well, I guess PS1 had more variety on it anyway. But like for PS2, I felt like we generally got... I mean, for N64, we generally got the more obvious games like Iggy's Wrecking Balls, like platformers like Chameleon Twist, Bomberman 64. But on the other hand, when you're talking about PlayStation, we're getting a lot of the weird games like Puzzle Fighter, and lots of just weird, like, other random puzzle games, or, like, fighting games that are, like, looking back on it, it's kind of a wonder that they even got localized. And you just play this weird game, you have a good time playing it, it makes a huge impression on you, but then I just happen to never rent it again. And I don't even think there are even any specific titles like that you've played lately, but just the experience of, like, especially with a lot of the PS1 games, a local, domestic and import that you've been playing just kind of remind me of that. Just, okay, we're just playing this now, we're having a good time with it, but we're probably not going to come back to it. And we're having as much fun playing it, and for all the same, we're one card away from getting another Royal Flush. I mean, this is my PB score for today. Oh boy. Oh. Alright. Get up there. Get up. No. Oh, so close, so close. Alright, come on. Oh. No. Okay. One card. Oh. That was scary. Glad Ooh boy. No, this is hype right now. This is got some good tension. Oh, vanishing flippers to make it that much harder for a moment. Okay. Alright, I'll catch up with chat in a second. Okay. Alright. Oh, we lost it. Good game. Alright. If you're making notes of games that you can see either myself replaying or turning to. Seems like most people only have an awareness of maybe 10% of the PS1 library. You love the sense of discovery. I know, like, that post-apocalyptic first-person crazy taxi type thing. Let's see where we're at in the online rankings right now. Okay, so... What? I used to be down in the 80s up here. I think that... Is that... No, let's see who's... All of these names here are new. I don't recognize these names. So that's the top 100. Paco, a lot of Japanese players. Okay. And, oh wait, I'm down at 292nd place. You know what? I think I somehow accidentally overwrote my old high score. Because I'd have to... Hey, you know what? Hey. You know, I feel like... No, like, my last score would have been 104th place, so I'll leave that for now. But in the future, I may update it. Maybe I'll start fresh from my 292nd place and go up from there, because where I was at before, I was making so little progress. The progress, like, the rank increases were coming so rare. Yeah, what was that? What was it I said? That it seems like... yeah, no, there's no way, because I saw a lot of the other players are at the same ranking, and so there's no way all those players are at the same ranking while I dropped that much. So I think I just accidentally resubmitted a lower score or something. I guess, yeah, we'll frame it as my climb back towards see how high I can get. And my personal best ranking, you know, that's never going to change. I got like 88th place or something, first of all. But it feels like, what was it? That Quarantine? Yeah, it seems like that game, I feel like they got forced to add the combat elements in later, because those, if I remember correctly, those seemed like some of the weaker elements of the game. But, like, the atmosphere I felt was good. And was that for PlayStation Quarantine, or was that for something else? Was that for, like, 3DO? If it was PlayStation, I feel like it would have been one of those early PlayStation... When I think early PlayStation, I feel like, I don't know... It was 3DO, okay. Because it felt like if it was gonna be... If that was a PlayStation game, it would have had to have been from 94, and it was... I mean, we're not gonna have too many US released 94 PlayStation games. Just because PlayStation didn't come to the US until 95. But just thinking of, it's so weird, I know I've said this in your chat, but it's just so weird thinking that, yeah, the same year that Super Metroid, Donkey Kong Country, and so many other games were like, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, so many games that we think of as being like the quintessential games at the peak of the Genesis versus Super NES console wars, were coming out the same year that PlayStation came on the market in Japan. Got a Japan PS1 release is Rock Hard Cab. Well, that's interesting. No, Hard Rock Cab, not Rock Hard Cab. No, let me think a bit. No. Yeah, that's what I was saying, just because early on, even in PlayStation's life, like 95, 96, by 97, it had kind of started to, you still got some releases like this, but it was becoming more, I guess what we think of as like mainstream PlayStation, I guess, but only on 3DO and personal computer in the US. Alright. I guess this feeling that, like, there was a time, especially in like 90, 95, and 96 especially, where I feel like a lot of the games coming out on PlayStation were, like, there was this moment where PlayStation's library kind of was similar to that of other CD-based systems, not necessarily FMV-oriented, though there was a lot of that stuff coming out, but just the idea of these really kind of experimental games where they weren't necessarily going head first into polygonal 3D platformers and adventure games that would kind of define an RPGs, where it kind of felt more like a mix between a continuation of sort of the Super Famicom or Super Nintendo, combined with a kind of the PlayStation kind of being treated just like all these other like CD based and 32-bit systems that were coming out, where it's kind of like no one knew what the generation following the 2D-centric 16-bit era would be like. And there was a point where, let's say if PlayStation was a dud, and it only lasted on the market a couple of years, and if you just froze the library in time at that moment, it wouldn't look that different necessarily, maybe from 3DO or like Jaguar CD, or even not CDI so much, but and especially what really enhances that feel to me was just the fact of those long box early PlayStation 1 games, where I guess they're trying to look a bit more like PC games in terms of the packaging. I remember even by like 98, like encountering a long box PlayStation game and feeling like, oh wow, I remember like when PlayStation games used to come in those big long cardboard boxes with like the ridged spines on the side. And all that said, I have an original PlayStation. I haven't touched it since maybe 2013 or 14 at the latest. You know, come to think of it, I'm just thinking of potential games. I've fully scheduled, and another thing I'm going to start trying to do, see how I feel, starting with this month, as I've scheduled out effectively my entire month of streams. So you can look on my about page and see ahead what's going to be happening, what games I'll be playing, and when. So, yeah, after this... Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. The reason I was saying, oh, I've played 32... No, was it 31 or 32? I forgot. Let me check I still have the dock open. It's a total of 32 games after the end of this stream. And because the reason I put 32, my next stream is going to be my 100th stream. So, that'll be a special occasion. It'll be a shorter stream, but I'll make a special occasion of it. I'm just gonna, just open up a text document and just be ranking my games from least to favorite of the 32 games I've played. Fortunately, I really didn't plan on I kept extensive records of what I played in which streams for every single stream I've done. And I really don't know why I did that, but now it's so convenient. I'm so glad I did that. Just so I could keep track of what I've done. And know, like, so it was very easy for me to go back and say, okay, these are the games I've played in the order I've played them. So I know that when I go switch into Sky Skipper later in the stream, that's going to be my 32nd game. And I am counting, I had to think for a second of what I consider different games. Like oh, you mean to ask, how does my stream numbering work? Because there's a lot of numerics there. It's a secret. You could, whisper me about it and I'll tell you how that works. It does actually mean something. Yeah, the stream numbers actually do mean something. And I love to make a game out of, like, the mystery of, like, what the stream numbers actually mean. It's not, I haven't streamed that number of times. I haven't streamed, like millions of times or whatever numbers that's in. But all I'll say is the stream numbers were originally just kind of a gimmick. Like, for years before I actually streamed, I thought, like, if I stream, I'm gonna number my streams and have, like, the number appear on the title and on screen somehow. And this is the system in which I will give each stream a unique number. And so when I finally started streaming, I went and did it. But what did I do? Yeah, but I'm actually very glad that I ended up incorporating the system and having the stream number appear on screen in the ticker. Like, when I was going back going through unsorted, like, footage, when I had a backlog stuff to upload to YouTube, or when I wanted to, like, see, like, okay, when did this happen, when did that happen, I could look at the number and refer to my master list of each broadcast. But actually, okay, it's just you and me in chat right now, right? So anyone who's, lurking, you get to hear the secret as well. Okay. We'll just hop onto my, okay. So, first two digits, 21 for 2021. 190, it's the 190th day of the year. And 99, it's the 99 I've streamed 99 times. So that's what the stream number means. And that's the most explicitly I've ever explained it on stream. So it's kind of... Yeah, if you look at, like, my list of all my archived videos on YouTube, all my archived streams, on my unlisted playlist... The playlist is publicly visible. Most of the videos are unlisted. But if you look at the stream numbers, I've had people come very close to figuring it out, but not quite. Yeah, and, like, the whole 190 thing, that's called the Julian date. Yeah, it's more utilitarian than you... Did you think it was... I was wondering, what theories did you have on what it meant? I'm fascinated. If you had any specific theories or ideas, or if it was, like, something like I was taking, like, the first and last letters of the name of the game I was playing, or something like that. I've had people make all kinds of interesting guesses. There are some streams, like, where if I announce, and there are also little, like, I guess, little prefixes, I guess, where if I do, like the times where I've done a stream that I did not previously announce or plan, were just on a whim, I just suddenly say, hey, I'm gonna go stream today. I put an exclamation point at the end of the number. If I change the game from the game I originally announced to something else, like at one point I was going to stream the finale for Paper Mario, instead I ended up doing that weird, like, watch party type thing of my Let's Play of Deltarune. For that, I added the Greek character delta at the end of the stream number, because delta in mathematics is the sign for change. So, because I changed the stream, I fixed a delta at the end of it. That was purely coincidental. I came up with all these rules like a while ago. Purely coincidental. I was playing Deltarune, in which the actual delta symbol is sort of part of the lore. You have noticed a rhyme or reason? You like being cheeky and coming up with them randomly? You know, coming up, just using a random number generator would have been a cool way to do it. But I was always interested in the idea of having some kind of, like, cryptic-seeming number, and then it having some kind of, like, actual meaning behind it. Actually, I'm right. I'm gonna go ahead and pause. When you pause in this mode, it's a reset, because in the real arcade game, you couldn't pause it. Let's take a swig of water. There we go. And jump back into it. Restart the game. Yeah, random number would be a good way. I guess what interested me was the fact that looking at, like, a television show, and if you look at, like, the episode numbers for, especially a lot of long-running shows, it won't be just the number of episodes it was. It might be something like episode 304. They might have, I've seen episodes where, like, it'll be like 03, 04, 217, it'll be like the first two digits are the season number, then the second two digits are like the number, it was like, if it was like the 5th episode of that season, of the 6th season, it might be 0605. So the season number, then the number of episodes that season, then on top of that, the number of seasons overall, and then, like, specials, like holiday specials or something like that, might have a separate numbering system that's outside of the normal, like, the main numbering sequence. So we're just interested in coming up with something like that, and just having people wonder what it meant, if anything. I thought of, like, having some kind of... I don't know what to call it. One idea I had was, like, to characterize it like the broadcast license number. Like, it was like a radio broadcast, and it's like, oh, like, this is the license for today's broadcast. So, I don't know, I thought of what kinds of different ways of framing it or depicting it. So I'm glad I was able to provide a bit of entertainment with that alone. And one thing I kind of find interesting is that just the way that, and I know, and Kyle, like, I know I've said, like, I miss seeing, like, the year the game came out and the info used to put on the thing, but that is time-consuming. Like, doing this ticker is, just doing these custom layouts for every single game, it is not a joke. It is time-consuming, especially when I want to have, like, the developer and the publisher and what system it came out for. It's time-consuming getting all that stuff ready. Hey, Kalaka boy, how you doing? We're on our 99th stream today, so next stream, this coming Wednesday, is going to be my 100th stream. And I have something special planned up for that. And with Sky Skipper, in a half hour, we're going to switch over to Sky Skipper, and that will be our 32nd game. So in 100 streams, we've only played 32 different games, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, and I mean, most of the time, it's just a Wikipedia search, and it's like, there's one game I'll be playing soon. I'm not going to say it now, for some people like the surprise, but if you're interested, you can look on the About page. Which actually, if you're looking at me on web browsers, just scrolled right. When someone's streaming, their information is right underneath the window. But when they're not streaming, you have to go to a separate tab to see their info. But I'll be playing a game where the company released a game, and the company changed its name like the year before. So it's like, do I put down the original company name? Or do I put down the name, like, just a few months later the following year when they would have actually released this title? Because frankly, one of the names sounded cooler, I think would have looked a lot cooler on the ticker down there. Yeah, because I stream because I basically stream a maximum of twice a week, it's relatively manageable for me to have all this info on my tickers. But because, but if you stream, as often as you tend to stream, Kyle, it's definitely gonna be, I could see it becoming unmanageable. Let's see now. Oh yeah, I was thinking, when I'm making that list of, like I said, I've played 32 different games, it was tricky trying to figure out what I'd consider it. Because, like, you could argue, like, I played, like, Namco Museum Archives on the Switch. So within Namco Museum Archives, I've played the NES version of Pac-Man, I've played Dragon Spirit, I've played, the NES version of Pac-Man Championship Edition. And here's the thing, the NES version of Pac-Man Championship Edition is a legitimately programmed NES ROM file that hackers have pulled from the game and run on an actual NES system through a flash card. So it's like, so I counted that as an NES game. Or at least now I will. If I go back to it, which I plan to will, that was pretty fun. I'm going to list that as an NES game, but it was only released on Nintendo Switch through Namco Museum Archives Volume 1. So it's like, okay, so do I consider Dragon Spirit, Pac-Man Championship Edition NES version, and the NES version of Pac-Man? Do I consider those all a single game because they're all released in a single title, that is Namco Museum Archives? Or do I consider them each separate titles? And my thinking for that was, like, let's say I played Super Mario Bros. 2 on NES, and I played it on the NES Classic Edition. So is the title of the product I'm playing it on, the product I purchased, is NES Classic Edition, which is a standalone device. Now, if Nintendo, like, here's a perfect example, like, there's that Genesis, like, retro console, that was the high-end one, not the Ed Games one, the one that was made to compete with the NES and Super NES Classic Edition. So that had a bunch of games on it. Let's say I play Sonic 2 on that, right? Meanwhile, they also released various, like on Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, they did release a standalone retail release that was basically most of the games that were on the Genesis Classic Edition. Yes, that is a calendar hiding behind the Black Boy. I'll finish this thought and I'll go into the calendar a bit more. So, because, like, my logic was, okay, my thinking was, alright, basically I'm going to consider this, I'm just going to list the system it was released for. Because at that rate, it would be like, if I played everything I play on the Wii U through its Virtual Console service, I'm not counting as I'm playing Wii U Virtual Console as the platform, or as the game itself. So I'm going to list the name of the title and the year it was released on. Now, I just considered this. I don't know why I just considered this, or maybe I thought of it before but decided against it. Now, I could, in the ticker, put in played on NES Classic Edition, or played on Namco Museum Archives for Nintendo Switch. I could add that to the ticker. But my ticker kind of has enough information in it. If people want to ask, I'll just answer it. And yes, that is a calendar up there behind me. There's a Pokemon wall calendar. In my old bedroom, I actually, I had that hanging somewhere else, but in my new apartment, what did I do? I basically, this is the only, I can't really put, I don't want to put thumbtacks through the walls in this apartment and damage the walls, even however tiny the hole would be. So this is really the only spot where I could hang this over the side, drape it over the side of back in my closet, where I'm streaming in front of. Actually, behind me, that door is that closet door. And my the calendar is turned backwards because there's a lot of appointments and personal information I've written on the calendar. So while I'm streaming, I just turn the calendar backwards to, you know, for privacy purposes. And it's a shame, because it's a cool Pokemon wall calendar, and it's weird, well, it's funny, like, where I have everything set up, it's like the perfect spot to show off all the personal information that I've written on the calendar, but not enough to actually show off the Pokemon art on the back. So, I'm just leaving it the way it is. Yeah, I'm just thinking of whatever games I'd like to play in August. I'll have to sit down and think about that for a while. Yeah, I had my first game and probably all year earlier today. That game where I got, like, I think 2 bonuses. I saved Pauline in the bonus stage twice, and then I got Royal Flush. Yeah, that was quite the, yeah, but because I only stream a couple of times a week, I can manage, you know, putting all this stuff in the tickers and everything. And actually, I made all the layouts, all the tickers, tickers being, like, the scrolling information on the bottom. I did all of that, earlier on, like, in the month. Actually, before I did it, it was still June. It wasn't even July yet. I did basically all of that then, so I wouldn't have to worry about it for the rest of the month. So that hopefully for the rest of the month, it would be a pretty much turnkey thing where I just switch the layout I want, update my end screen, my hold screen at the beginning and my, end screen, saying what I'll be playing next time. Of course, you know, broadcast software likes to be funny and make you have to redo things at the last second and whatnot. More Twinbee games. Down the line, there'll be more Twinbee and Fantasy Zone. Both cute-em-ups are going to be getting some attention. I'd probably sooner want to give some more shots at Fantasy Zone, though I doubt I'll be... You know what, if I play Fantasy Zone... Yeah, Fantasy Zone... The arcade version of Fantasy Zone is on Nintendo Switch, and that will make it... That would make Fantasy Zone a very easy game to have as a warm-up game, because all month long, my only warm-up game I've really had lined up is Versus Pinball, which is a pretty ideal warm-up game. I mean, normally I only play... When I'm using this as a warm-up game, I usually only play this for a half hour. But because this ended up being kind of a extremely early 80s... a Nintendo arcade-themed day, I thought, hey, I'll give a whole hour to Pinball. Hey, TurboGrafx, how you doing? The Pinball as usual. Yeah, usually, when I'm using this as a warm-up game, I'll only play it for a half hour, but I don't know if you heard me, TurboGrafx, right before you peeked in chat. I was saying, hey, since we're playing Sky Skipper after this, which the first time I'll be playing, it's kind of shaping up to be a early 80s Nintendo-themed day. Thank you, Bubbles, very much for saving my ball there. I will, hey, let's give a full hour to Versus Pinball before we get into Sky Skipper. And now, this Versus Pinball is actually the younger of the two games. This came out in 84. Sky Skipper is going to be 1981, so it's 39 years old. And then I believe either today or yesterday is considered the official release date of the original Donkey Kong, which turns 40, which means that Mario himself is also 40. Yeah, I haven't been able to catch too many streams lately just because you tend to stream later in the day, and I've been more of an early bird lately. I've found that to be working very well for me, so... but time to time I'm able to hop in and, in fact, I've been such an early bird since I've moved. The new schedule I've settled into, that there are a lot of streamers who consider themselves late-night streamers that I'm eating breakfast. I wake up and eat breakfast and watch them on the days that their streams go on a little longer. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so, a lot of... Yeah, oh, this is, TurboGrafx, this is my 99th stream, actually. So my stream on Wednesday evening is going to be my 100th stream. And I've played 32 games since I got started with this back in May of 2020. And meanwhile, Kyle TX500, he's played closing in on 300 games this year. So I just love the variety and the I guess different ways you can stream, because I've been going back to, I go back to my favorites a lot, hence right here, but I like, it's kind of made this atmosphere where I'll be going into a lot of newer games later this month, and it's kind of an exciting event for me, and I'm sure for a lot of my regulars. And then going back to a couple of games that I've wanted to go back to since I put them down. I know I want to get back to Mario Party 2. Actually, yeah, Mario Party 2. That's going to be a game that'll be a good warm-up game going in for some of the longer games I might be streaming in August. I want to get into some N64. I played, for N64, only N64 games I've played on stream have been Mario 64 and Mario Party 2. And they are some N64 games I've got on the Wii U Virtual Console that I want to get into. A lot of games I have not played since the 90s that I have very fond memories of. So, yeah, some of the more shorter modes of Mario Party 2 are going to be perfect for, you know, just half-hour warm-up games. And then, I know, like, for my for my Saturday stream, Saturday's going to be my weekly regular streaming day, right? But then on every other Wednesday, I'll be streaming in the afternoon from, like, 4. Those will probably be absolute max from 3 hours. Probably going to be 2-hour-ish streams, which will be great for a lot of other sort of secondary stuff that I'd like to stream but don't want to dedicate a whole stream to, or also don't quite work as like a half-hour to hour-ish warm-up game. I mean, warm-up to me means a half-hour. Like, an hour to me of playing this, I feel like I'm really settled in, and I'm giving this some serious attention. And, so Sky Skipper, for those who aren't familiar, because I don't think I really explicated it, it is a game that was released in 1981 in very limited amounts. I think there were 12, at least either in just North America or just Japan. I think there were a total of 12 cabinets produced. It was not well received in the test locations. They did not mass produce it. Today, there was only one existing original board and one existing original cabinet, which is archived and not by Nintendo Corporation Limited in Japan. Actually, by Nintendo of America has the only existing Sky Skipper cabinet. They are, I think, a total of 4 boards. And now I don't know if they're a total of 4 boards in the hands of the public, or if they're a total of 3 boards in the hands of the public, also counting the one that's in the original cabinet that's archived at Nintendo headquarters. And so there are either 4 or 5 existing boards of the game. Let's assume 4. No, they're competing. I'm not sure. Some of the sources say 4, one in the hands of Nintendo, and some say 4 total, with Nintendo having one of them. Okay, so he scored the Royal Flush here on my last ball, so I'm not especially excited right now. But okay, alright. No, okay, at least we get the 1,000 for it. Now I'm gonna okay. Alright. Yeah, that's the frustrating thing. When you get in the bonus round, it does reset your Royal Flush. So when you've got the Royal Flush in the lower table, you ideally don't want to get the bonus stage at that point. You can get to the upper table by just shooting the ball upwards, or by shooting your ball back into the launch lane and shooting it back up top, and it will save your Royal Flush status on the lower screen for a while, but not too long. You really don't want to mess around on the upper screen when you've got the Royal Flush going on the bottom screen, because when you've got the Royal Flush, which gives you the outlane stopper, and it lasts indefinitely until you either get the bonus stage, lose your ball. You can lose your ball even with the gutter stopper. When you've got the gutter stopper and the outlane stoppers, you're pretty much playing a free game at that point. I mean, you could nest the ball as much as you want with no risk of losing it. You're pretty much free at that point. Alright. We're going for... And it's funny, when you nest the ball, I don't do it that often, but when you do that, you kind of see the ball sort of jittering around, and I think that's kind of, you're exposing, like, this sort of cycle of, you know, if the ball hits there on this frame, it's going to act like this. It's kind of exposing the semi-RNG they sort of programmed in. You know, I do need to actually, I've yet to play an analog system, feed an analog system into my capture card. I've never done that before. I'm gonna have to do some experimenting with that soon, because I do actually know my television flashback is in fact back in the state where I used to live, because I had a storage unit there, and I still have a lot of stuff in storage back there that I did not bring with me, as I would not be needing it for a while, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be making any more moves, so it's like, hey, if I move this way, I don't have to bring any furniture with me. It was a very easy move to make. But I say that to the sense that I would like to be able to figure out how to hook up my Intellivision flashback to and run it into my capture card. Because the Intellivision flashback, I mean, fortunately, like, at the time I got the Intellivision flashback, I was 100% on board with the fact that it was analog standard definition video out, because I only had a tube set at the time. Now it's kind of a because, I mean, in a certain sense, it's kind of a cool thing, because you want, like, when you're playing Intellivision, it is great playing Intellivision flashback on a tube TV. It is fantastic. But now that I'm playing on a modern monitor and want to run it into my capture card, now I have to figure out some kind of adapter solution that my broadcast software and the Elgato HD60S both want to get along with. And you know, there's all this drama going on with the Intellivision Amico and with Tommy Tallarico that I think is really unfortunate, because not only do what I want, I mean, all the criticisms of the Amico, I hear them, I understand them, they're, for the most part, reasonable criticisms. There's a certain element where people, I think, may be hating on the system just because their favorite YouTubers or podcasters may have a negative impression of the system. And even if those podcasters have their, like, criticisms are valid, I think they're making them based on just wanting to sort of be in line with their opinion leaders on the media they consume, rather than because they've considered these criticisms for themselves. But I would love it if the Television Amico overcame a lot of those criticisms and became this sort of ultra family-friendly sort of bridge between the toy industry and the video game industry. I think that would have been cool. I don't think it's going to happen, and it's fortunate, because I feel like the Amico in general is in a place where it's not even going to succeed or fail based on how good the games are or on how good the product is. I feel like at this point, just a lot of the weird drama that surrounded personalities connected to Amico, the weird sort of like fanatical kind of fan base the Amico project has attained, are going to, I feel like it's at this point threatened to damage the goodwill and reputation of the Intellivision legacy. And one thing I do find unfortunate, like, I feel like if Tommy Tallarico, if they just released an HDMI version of the Intellivision flashback with every single game they could possibly figure out a way to license, and put it on an HD version of the Intellivision flashback, maybe not even make it a mini console, or a mini console, make a high-end mini console, like the NES Classic Edition, or that Genesis system, or the TurboGrafx sort of retro system thing. Make a high-end collector's version like that, and I feel like that's going to, that product would have outsold whatever the Amico ends up doing. And there's like a hate, there's like I said, like Amico has a weird fan base in a sense where people will rapidly defend Amico and talk about, oh, these games look amazing, and the particular titles they may be talking about are like, yeah, that does not look very impressive, like, objectively from my point of view, and I don't know what you're seeing in some of these games that you're so excited about that they're going to be on the television Amico. On the other hand, you have people who are like rabid haters of Amico, and not just critics of Tommy Tallarico and maybe how he's handled himself or handled different situations in terms of public relations, but just hate the system, where I said something like, I said something, what exactly did I say? I've said things where if I say something that seems not explicitly negative about the Amico, I've had Amico, like, and television haters coming at me saying, oh, well, you're defending this system and it doesn't even exist. And I was like, did you, in the post you're responding to, I said that an Intellivision flashback with HDMI would probably outsell whatever Amico's going to do. So how are you saying that I'm blindly defending the system? And I'm definitely not defending the product when it doesn't even exist yet. I'll defend it or state my interest in it when there's a final product to be shown. And then it's crazy, like, being called, like, a fanboy or a partisan of the Amico, when I was like, hey, you know, one of the people that was like, hey, using the stock photos, like, and I wasn't following this myself, but because I was watching P4's E3 coverage, we ended up watching the video that Tommy Tallarico put out for Intellivision as part of E3. And once again, it was very much more like a pitch video of the concept of it, more so than something where I feel like this is going to come out in a number of months. It felt more like the reveal video, announcing the concept of something, more so than something for a system that's about to come out. But in part of that video, he showed off some, I guess, publicity photos of families holding Intellivision controllers and playing the system. And they're pretty much the cliche shots of just, like, family, the mother and father and son playing together, and they're holding the controllers. And when I saw those images, I thought, okay, so this project is coming along. They've gotten it to the point where they've taken publicity photos, you know, of the system. Now I understand, hey, maybe they're just dummy controllers. Because, you know, when they take photos like that, they're not, very rarely, if ever, are they actually playing the game. That's true for, like, those Nintendo shots, you know, in the Wii era, of families holding the Wii remotes and playing and, like, smiling together on a couch. Like, most of the time, they just do the photo shoots where they just have them hold the controllers, then make sure that, like, the lights, any lights on the controllers are on if they're supposed to be on. But usually they're not actually playing the game. It's just a photo shoot to get footage for the press kit of them playing the system or using the product. That's fine, right? And so I thought, hey, they've gotten to the point where they've, you know, have, you know, families posing with controllers and doing these publicity photos, so, hey, they're coming along. And then I found out a week or two later that those were actually stock photos of families holding, like, generic, like, not, like, they're controllers you can get that are just, like, non-specific controllers, so it's not a PlayStation controller, it's not an Xbox controller, it's not a Nintendo controller, it's just a generic controller that, you know, if you just want stock photo of, let's say it's like, oh, or kids playing too much video games, there'll be a stock photo of, like, kid playing video game number 5463, and you can license that to use in your pamphlet or whatever. It turns out all the photos of the Amico press kit that was released as part of E3 2021 were stock photos of people holding generic controllers that they photoshopped the Amico controllers onto it to make it seem like they were playing a television Amico. I mean, and I know I saw Tommy being like, oh, like, oh, the haters strike again, or something. Oh, it's not a crime to use stock photos. It's common practice, and it's like, okay, using stock photos, licensing stock photos, is common practice in general. For like, oh, we're doing a pamphlet about a product, we might like, it's not wrong or taboo to use a stock photo or to get a stock photo and edit your company's logo onto it in different situations. In the specific case of the video game industry, it is not at all standard practice to take a generic photo and like edit the photo to feature your product when the original photo did not have the product in it. It gave me the impression that certain aspects of the project were a lot further along than they actually were, and I think it's questionable at best. Now, I'm not claiming, like, I'm not saying anything beyond that. I said what I had to say, but yeah, it's just, television, Amico, it's just such a weird situation. All right, let's wash ourselves of versus pinball and of that topic, and switch over to the next game. And it's time for me to, so we'll hop in, we'll change. Nintendo Sky Skipper. An arcade. Yeah, there we go. Update the title. We're already streaming under retro. And Sky Skipper does have a specific category for it. But, oh, and by the way, I don't know, I never listened, I booted this game up. I never actually checked to see what the sound is like, if there's music or if there's just, like, airplane noises. I don't know what the sound's like. I had to boot the game up just to arrange this, excuse me, the stream's not ending yet. We're going to, yeah, and take a break in about an hour. Yeah, and, yeah, so I don't know how the sound's going to be balanced. So if the game is too loud or too quiet, let me know and I can adjust it on the fly. And so we're going to jump right into this. Now, I'm just going to start by... There's a command for this. There we go. So we'll jump right in to Sky Skipper. I have no... so we're going to fumble around a bit. I have no idea what the controls are like. I know the general idea of the game. I don't know... actually... Yeah, that should... No, okay. My ticker... It's something only I'd probably ever notice, but my ticker needs to be rearranged a bit. I think that should do it. Yeah, part of it was going over onto... Okay. Let's... And by the way, all the art for this... Actually, yeah, the art here for the Sky Skipper, the side of the cabinet, this was all drawn by Shigeru Miyamoto. So this was kind of intended as a bit of a follow-up to Donkey Kong. And there was a home console release, even though this game barely got released in arcades. A couple of years later, Parker Brothers did a Atari release, a release on Atari 2600. They licensed it from Nintendo. And you'd never know. I probably have heard of the Sky Skipper Atari game. May have even seen it, having no idea that it had anything to do with Nintendo. So let's see what this game is like. High score mode. Alright, so I'm jumping straight into high score mode here. We'll establish ourselves on the board. Oh, actually, no. Actually, no. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do... Okay. I have to scroll the whole thing over here. And it's encroaching on my face. So we're just going to, sorry, the wonders, the joys of a live entertainment. Actually, no. Actually, what we'll do, you just have to, where's the game? There we go. I have too many. There we go. So we gotta scroll it that way and pull this back over. And it should be, there's like a single pixel of black space, and I wanted it to be, there we go. So now we'll restart and we'll go into high score mode. Yeah, when I tested this, I tested it with the regular mode, and in high score mode they skew the game over to the side so that the high score board can be on screen. Yeah, that's interesting. I just realized that. On versus Pinball in high score mode, the actual table of the top scores. Alright, here we go. I have no idea what's about to happen. Auto takeoff. So, alright. So I'm moving the plane around. And yes, they are gorillas. They're kind of a takeoff of Donkey Kong. So that's to drop a bomb. Alright, so it's a scroll. It scrolls. All I know about this game is that I was surprised to learn that there was, in terms of the actual gameplay, there's some minor swearing in this, and I was kind of surprised. Now, do I collect those? Alright, I collect. Oh, he got up. Woo! Woo! What a spectacle! That was quite the explosion. And yes, going with that early arcade cliche of using nursery rhymes. Is that clown up there? Is that something I could collect? Is that an enemy? I don't know. Oh, he's in a cage. Oh, I crashed again. Man, these explosions are trippy. Get ready, last point. Alright. And, okay, so these are white. So we're getting a... Ooh. I know Shigeru Miyamoto was a fan of Alice in Wonderland. So, actually... You. Yeah, it's not even... Yeah, I'm not even placed on this. I'm not even placing on this. Now, I checked on Twitch. The only content for this game that I could find was someone who was from, I think, months ago or something, and there's apparently one person who's competes for high scores in this. Probably, most certainly in this very version of the game. Alright. Now let's see if I could get an actual score. Actually, you know what? After this, I'm gonna actually go back to regular mode. I'm gonna actually go back to normal mode. Because there's a... when you play high score mode, it automatically inserts the coin for you. And skips the intro screen, and the intro screen's actually going to... Oh my gosh. And I see, I guess I gotta get... I think I'm supposed to be rescuing the royal family, who are all based on suits of cards. So there's a club, the spade, diamond, like the diamond, the spade, and the frog is a club. And I see I'm collecting. Am I trying to get a flush of all four? Alright. Oh my gosh. So he knocked me out the sky. So I'm going to... this means I'm going to have to adjust my... So we have east and west. I guess those are on screen to clarify. these do have a bit of... Oh, I can't crash... Okay, so I can't fly in front of the building. So hitting the building... Alright, so we're going to go to this original mode. And I'm going to have to adjust my screen again. Okay, so A is to... Okay, L... Okay, so L is for adding credits. R triggers to start. L and R bumpers. L is to start coins. Start. Okay. B is speed. B is speed. A is fire. Select some. And direction is to move the plane. Okay. So I'm gonna have to move this back over. I'm gonna have to scroll the okay, so we're just gonna scroll this over. Why is... Okay, I'm just looking at my broadcast software. It's saying that I'm still streaming under Pinball, or that the title is still Pinball. Let me just check and take a look at... Alright. It seems like everything's working alright. So let's just get back into the game. Hello, please go away. Alright, there we go. So yeah, good thing we're gonna be playing this for another... Okay, so that's... Okay, so insert coin. And start. Now, next time I get a game over, which is probably going to be pretty soon, I'm going to take a closer look at the title screen and figure out what they want me to do in terms of... Now, I wonder if this game... Because I'm playing this with... Either play with the D-pad. Now, I don't have my arcade joystick with me. Oh my gosh. You tried to get me? There you go. Take that. How high up can I go? Okay, so I can go up pretty high. And I just narrowly... Oh, you little butt. I'm gonna get you. Oh, you tried to get me. Oh, I see. Hey, I saved one of them. Oh, if I fly up, I could drop the bombs directly down. Okay. So, and I also have to watch my fuel. Oh, wait, is it... Alright, so if I just touch... That was Over the Rainbow! Nintendo, you thieves. Like... wait. I don't think Over the Rainbow. Was that... Okay, I have to check and see if Over the Rainbow is, like... Was that written for the Wizard of Oz MGM movie? Or was that just a public domain song that, I guess, became popularized by that movie? Because if that was a song MGM owned the rights to, I wonder if Nintendo had to either pay MGM the rights to use Over the Rainbow, not for the original arcade version. The original arcade version, like, I'm sure they didn't care about, oh, like, no one's gonna care or whatever. Meanwhile, hey, Swift Pro. Yeah, when this plane explodes, it is freaking fabulous. There's stars, colored stars flying everywhere. So I wonder if Nintendo, if that was a consideration Nintendo's legal team had, because I know that was definitely there were lots of legal considerations Nintendo had to make, like with doing Earthbound, because there are lots of musical references in Earthbound, where it's like, okay, how likely is it that we'd have to defend ourselves in court for some of these musical allusions in Earthbound? Because some of the musical allusions are from public domain things, some of them are not from public domain things, and some of them are brief and changed enough that they could qualify as fair use, whereas certain things in Earthbound are just flat out, like, almost explicitly stolen from actual copyrighted stuff. It was, the Clacka Boy, our Oz expert, in the house, actually, coming in clutch for us. Now, actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to watch the attract mode for a bit to see how the game is being... I think I mostly got the sense of how the game's played. Clacka Boy, you went on a little pilgrimage to the final resting place of Frank L. Baum a few months ago, didn't you? And you actually laid your one of your Oz books on his headstone, which is quite the pilgrimage to go on. For me, it would be the equivalent of visiting the final resting place of, say, maybe Reverend Audrey, who's the creator of the Thomas the Tank Engine series. So, yeah, man, when this plane blows up, this plane is powered by, like, unicorns and confetti. Cast starring Mr. Yu, and yes, these characters were designed by Miyamoto. I don't know if the gorillas were used because... Wonder Kingdom is conquered by gorillas, drop bombs on gorillas, and knock them down. Touch and rescue all King's family by... I can... Hold on. I could barely read that in time. We're gonna wait a minute and let it scroll back around. And, scroll back around. I may have to take a... I may well have to take a screenshot of the rule screen, because they did not let that sit on screen long. You know, I wonder if this game didn't do well because the rules were too obtuse. And I wonder if this is one of those games that would play really well with my arcade joystick. But I have that in storage back in another state that's quite a while of a drive away. So, okay, top 5 chart. Guest star Gorilla. And the Mr. Yu character, I know for years, like, since, like, 3DS and, like, Smash for 3DS and Wii U, since that era, I was really interested in the idea of Mr. Yu being a Smash character, because that would have been one of the, like, the ultimate... I hope there's only one character left for Smash Brothers Ultimate whatsoever, the final character. I hope it's something fun and unexpected and really Nintendo-y, like Mr. Yu or Alice from Balloon Kid, who would be... Or I guess Balloon Fighter. And I guess having Alice from Balloon Kid be an alternate cost or an Echo Fighter would be cool. I want some... I know... just so many characters lately have just been more anime sword boys and characters who are already in other fighting games who maybe rightfully so should be in for Smash, but just I'm not even into Smash, so I really don't have a dog in this fight, but a lot of the fun of Smash to me was just the sheer variety of characters and taking characters that you wouldn't expect to be in a game like this. Like, how do you make this character work as a fighter? It's a lot of the fun of Smash character reveals for me. And for a lot of the reveals lately, I haven't really been feeling that. Okay. Wonder Kingdom. So, like, characters like Wii Fit Trainer or... Wii Fit Trainer or Piranha Plant. Like, so many hardcore Smash players were, like, offended by the announcement of Piranha Plant. Yeah, no, they might as well call it, like, Anime Sword Boy All-Stars, also featuring various Nintendo characters. What is it? And mind you, I say that. I say, like, I said Anime Sword Boys derisively. Sephiroth, that was a character that deserved to be in there, I feel. But anyway, Wonder Kingdom is conquered by gorillas. Drop bombs on gorillas and flame them down. Touch and rescue all King's family by plane. See you again at airport. Special point for getting all hearts. 2 hearts. Okay, so we either get all colors of the same suit. We get and then if we get 3 spades in a club or all 4 characters. Okay, I guess I don't play cards. There are lots of... I've been fascinated by, like, cards and poker culture. I mean, I didn't mean for this to be... Just like how I'm fascinated by chess, which I have on here somewhere. And I'm playing Silver Star Go, which is a Go teaching thing for the Nintendo Switch. I'm playing that in my off time. I would consider streaming it. I'm not sure that would make a very good stream. Or if I do a Go stream, I might make it a mic-only stream. I might do it as a mic-only stream or something like that. So, okay, so let's get started. Being more familiar with the rules of this game. Yeah, I want something really creative and fun. I want, like, Klonoa. I want Rayman. You know, or Sky Skipper. I want, well, the character would probably be called, I don't know if they would call the character Sky Skipper or Mr. U. Because the character's actual name is Mr. U. Okay, so these... I have infinite bombs. Ooh! I just flat out fell for that one. Now, I wonder if the gorillas, or just because... Ratchet... well, actually, I'd honestly... If it had to be for Smash, I'd rather have Crash Bandicoot than Ratchet. Oh, I like it. I just noticed that there's a targeting reticule that appears where the ball is going to fly towards. Oh, and the smoke bomb also disrupts. Can I... Oh, the clouds knock me down. Alright. Do I have to drop a bomb first? I don't know what the rules for... Oh, I ran into him. Yeah, like, it should be something old. Like Crash, Rayman, Klonoa, or if it's gonna be something Nintendo, something weird like Balloon Fighter, right? Or, I'm trying to think of something more obtuse, like, okay, so I got the... Alright. Now, the queen is over this way. Now, this does not scroll infinitely. Now, I don't know if I get points for knocking out the gorillas. I don't know. Oh. Okay, so that's not an instant death. It's just that if you hit the ground from it, you'll die. I like how the upward ascent... Okay, this is very... I feel like this is very Miyamoto touch here. Going down is actually quicker than climbing up. Climbing directly up is quicker than climbing up on a diagonal. Just how, like, the fact that Miyamoto added a hat to Mario because he originally wanted Mario's hair to sort of flutter based on his momentum. And so he added a hat because the hardware couldn't. Oh, I gotta get fuel. I'm gonna run out of gas. Oh, I can only refuel once. Okay. I can only refuel once. I mean, yeah, I can see how this game wasn't a hit. Because if you take something that's the bigger hits, something like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Galaga, the Electric Yo-Yo. Yeah, that was, yeah, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Galaga, the Electric Yo-Yo. That's like the most out-of-left-field arcade game that I'd be blown away if any of you ever heard of that game before, ever. But it's an arcade game. My point I was making there was just that even like Electric Yo-Yo. It's the most abstract game ever. But all of those games, you instantly understand the method of action and how what your objective in playing the game, and like what you're trying to do. It's pretty instantly. Whereas this is a little. I mean, think of how many quarters it would have taken for me to learn how to play this game if I was playing on a real cabinet and putting in quarters. Now, and Cloudboy is saying, you decided to spend your birthday in September at Disneyland since they announced they'll be holding Halloween festivities at the park from September to October. Alright, so things are getting back to normal again. And I'm glad I've sort of been following through you. I vaguely, the only vague connection I have, aside from you, Collectaboy, to, like, theme park news and happenings, especially in, you know, in the, turmoil, that's resulted, in the era of COVID-19, is just that, I'll hear updates from you, or, I occasionally watch a couple of YouTube channels that cover Disney theme park news among other topics. So occasionally I'll hear updates through that, and it's not like even this channel I'm talking about. It's not like I watch all their videos. Did I collect all of the royal family? Did I get all of them? Did I save them all yet? I'm keeping an eye on the fuel. I got the king. I guess, you know what? I guess I have to save all of the little various jumping characters. Oh my gosh. Hey, Mecha Kong. How you doing? We're playing our 32nd game of my streaming history, and it is my 99th stream, so the next stream will be the 100th stream. Okay, you know what? I get it. The white gorilla? What do I do? Do I have to land now? Oh no, I crashed! Yes, and as you can see, the airplane is filled with confetti. Confetti and glitter. Just going back to my whole screen just so you can see the artwork. This is Skyscraper. This artwork poster was drawn by Shigeru Miyamoto himself. But getting back to the game. And yes, it was true. Oh, no. No. Okay, almost. Almost. Now, I believe I have to... And this is an arcade... If you're not familiar with Skyscraper, there are only 4... Oh! Hey, we got it! Damn it, I'll escape. Yes, so that was probably the first swear in a Nintendo game and probably the last ever. Okay. I've got a oh wow, we're in level 2, we're changing to a different screen. Yeah, so this game is 39 years old. There's a Skyscraper command. Exclamation point Skyscraper. It just appeared on the screen a moment ago. All I was saying about Disney YouTubers is that, they're not a Disney YouTuber. They cover comics and all kinds of... The audio's a tad loud. I could turn it down a tad. Because I didn't really want to... how's that? I turned it down a little bit. Yeah, any audio adjustments, tell me about it and we could adjust on the fly. Is that any better? Or do you barely notice that one? Or what? I have no idea. So you have to save all these on-screen characters in order to advance to the next stage. And, yeah, I wonder if this game is maybe T-rated or E10 plus because it has the word damn in it. I know, for instance, that, like, Shadow the Hedgehog, that game has, that game, is E10 plus, and that also has the word damn in it. Which is kind of really, like, the E10, at least is, I don't know, I haven't looked in general, but it was so inconsistent, because, like, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, I think was or Donkey Kong, was it? Yeah, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat was, like, the first game I saw that had the E10 rating. I actually do have that game. I don't have it with me. It's in storage still. It was the first game with the E10 Plus, and that had no cursing or anything even mildly objectionable in it. And then Shadow the Hedgehog got E10 Plus, and that game had the word damn in it. And that's something that I think a lot of parents would not necessarily be happy about. So it's like, what was the intention with the E10 rating? It's an E10 Plus. Yeah, but the thing is, like, yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog has somewhat realistic firearms, and it has the word damn in it. Meanwhile, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, that game doesn't have, realistic firearms or, like, any type of swearing in it. And that game is also E10 Plus. If Donkey Kong Jungle Beat was E10 Plus and Shadow the Hedgehog was E10, if Shadow was E10 Plus and then Donkey Kong Jungle Beat was E, I would not have this criticism. And it's a criticism of like 15 or 10 years ago at this point now, anyway. So it's a bit dated at this point. In fact, I think Shadow the Hedgehog was the last game that I ever rented from Blockbuster. I rented the GameCube version, I think. And I don't think I ever rented another game from Blockbuster again. Shadow? Yeah, there was a sort of an edgy spin-off of the Sonic the Hedgehog series where it's weird. They didn't have realistic blood or gore, but they did have realistic looking guns that Shadow was wielding. And it looked as ridiculous as it sounds. The game was probably... I remember the game being okay, but just... The game was more bad just of thematically what it was, more so than just the fact that this is a game that's supposed to take place in the same universe as Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sonic actually does make some minor appearances in the game, if I remember correctly. And we're getting low on fuel, so we have to make the landing. And we get over the rainbow. And so, Mecha Kong, we were discussing if there was if Nintendo had to worry about legal trouble. I mean, I love the graphics. Like, this is so weird, because the sprites look like an arcade game from the era. But then, like, the trees and the flowers look like something from an Intellivision or an Atari 2600 game. It is so strange, like the mix of graphic style almost. Hey, we got a viable score. We're AAA. Actually, now that we're playing good enough to get a score, what I'd like to do, how about... Actually, we'll play this one more time. Okay. Actually, no. We'll reset the game. Game reset. We'll let the title screen play, and all the artwork was drawn by Miyamoto. Oh, all I was gonna say is just that the only real news about Disney parks that I get is that there's a YouTube channel I occasionally sometimes watch, and they cover comics and like pop culture news and video game stuff, and sometimes they also have another blog. So check this out. Yeah, so this is the attract mode playing. Let it go back to the tile screen, and then we'll insert a coin and get started with the actual gameplay. And after this, actually, might as well. So this is how the game is supposed to go. So just this really obscure, nearly forgotten, the game that actually came close to extinction. There are only 4 existing boards, one of which, there are only 4 existing boards, only one 100% original unmodified board, and only one existing original cabinet, which is held in NOA headquarters. There is a second skyscraper cabinet, which is held, the only one held in the hands of the public. Preservationists were able to, I guess, salvage the... One of the boards was flashed with Popeye back in the day. And they were able to somehow, I guess, restore the skyscraper code off of that board. and they were able to get in contact with Nintendo of America to get special permission for them to examine and scan their cabinet so that they could create a reproduction cabinet for their Skyscraper board. So there are basically 2 existing cabinets, only 1 original cabinet, and only 2 other existing boards. And this ROM file is actually dumped off. There was a MAME ROM floating around that was, I guess, dumped off of one of those boards that was in the hands of the public. But this version that is on Hamster, the Arcade Archives, which is done by Hamster. And Arcade Archives is, though they do have a lot of Nintendo stuff, they are not Nintendo exclusive. There are also versions of this. Their Arcade Archives is available for PlayStation and Xbox as well. But Arcade Archives has done, you know, like the angels' work in making a lot of these really rare and obscure Nintendo arcade games playable for the first time. Now, we're going to go into... Now, we're going to lose initially. Now that we're in high score mode, I have to adjust, because in high score mode, this game screen isn't centered. Okay. Now I have to adjust so that my scoreboard isn't leaning over my face. So now I'm taking L's left and right here while I make these adjustments. I didn't realize that this Virtuous Pinball is not like that, even though it's part of the same series of releases. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't... It's just... I want it to be perfect. I know none of you watching this care, but let's hop back in. Let's actually start playing. Yeah, so that's all I was going to say about comics. Now we're actually going to play for some high scores here. And the nice thing about this is that it starts for me. Alright. Alright, so it seems like just... Wait, is it bombing the gorillas that makes the characters jump around? Alright, so bombing the gorilla makes the clown, the Jack, I guess, or the Joker, come out of... Is it? Okay, it's not just dropping bombs, it's specifically bombing the gorillas makes the people jump out. I'm trying to collect all these characters, and they all are themed around suits of cards. And I do have a fuel supply I need to keep track of. And... yeah, I need to check and see what I actually get points for. I believe I just get points for collecting characters. I've collected all the characters, okay. And that music there? That music is... Dun, 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 dun. That is the same melody. It's a little different, but it is the same basic melody that they used for the title screen for NES Pinball. So it's... I haven't... Actually, no, in all what I've looked up, I haven't seen any mention of the fact... Okay, NES Pinball... So they use Skip to My Lou... Because the start theme is Skip to My Lou. The takeoff theme after you refuel is Over the Rainbow. And then that little ditty when you beat the stage. I don't know if that was... Yeah, I can't say what that's from. But I know they use... Or if that's from anything. But they definitely... that was definitely the inspiration for... Doggone. I gotta go bomb some gorillas to get them to jump up again. But that was definitely used in NES Pinball. And I'd like to... I don't know if there's any history to that music, or how I'd even go about doing original research for that. They jumped 3 times, I think. Oh my gosh. I almost crashed there. Now I can collect. Please jump up. There we go. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. So. Oh no, I crashed. Yeah, so when they hit you with the baseball, it makes you fall, and you will crash if you hit a surface, but if you're high enough above the ground, you can recover and not lose a plane. So this right here is what after playing for about 40 minutes, this right here is what I consider my second attempt at playing the game, actually kind of understanding a lot of the rules, and I think that's what did this game in. I think it was just too complex. If you were just flying a plane and avoiding obstacles, and I want to comment again for anyone who wasn't here for this, I'm really fascinated by the way in which the trees down there, the trees and the flowers look like graphics from an Intellivision game, but then the character sprites look more like what, more like NES-like, or more like what I'd expect from an arcade game of this era. Now, what does it take to get the king to jump? The king wasn't jumping out. I still have these 2 guys left to save still. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm really interested by just how it's like it's like this level has almost a different art style from the first level. Yeah, I'm getting the hang of this. Got him. That should be the next stage. Oh no, I still have to find the queen. Oh, you know what? This isn't the edge of the level. Oh no, it is. It says West End. Okay. I don't know if I get points for... I think I get 10 points each time I knock down the gorilla. Actually, I need to fuel up. I need to refuel. Oh! That's not... I thought just touching the flag is what... I thought touching the flag was enough to refuel, so I still... Yeah, this game's... I don't think this game is bad. I actually... Like, this is the first time I played, like, an arcade game, and I'm glad I'm stayed pretty fresh on this. But this is definitely... This is too complex, because, mind you, this would have taken me several dollars. And 1981 dollars. Oh, I cleared the level and then died immediately. And it's interesting, Mr. U is gigantic compared to the other characters, and compared to like the card family characters. Yeah, actually, this game, I heard people say this game wasn't that good. This game is a lot better than I thought it would be, but I could see why it flopped. I mean, it cost so much money. It would have cost like several dollars, in early 80s dollars. For, actually, let's do... Okay. Yeah, I just sacrificed my game right there. 1, 5... Okay, 1, 8, 80. Okay, so that's my first... I'll just add that to the my score there. Take the screenshot. Yay, Azurest, how you doing? Quarters, thousands of quarters. I just want to do a little... Okay. Inflation converter. Okay. So, let's see. So, if in 1981 purchase for 2021, let's say, so 25 cents. Okay, if in 1981 I purchased an item for 25 cents, then in 2021 it would cost $2.96. Let's round it up to $3. And how many times have I played? 3, 6, 9. And I know it's you can't take the inflation counter too literally, especially, I mean, for almost 40 years, that's fair. But I've seen people talk about like, oh, although the Wii launched at 250, but that's not counted for inflation. And people were saying that 10 years ago. I was like, okay, over like 10 years, like, yeah, you could, it's not like, okay, there's a bit more to it than that. I'm not ready to talk about it. It's a little bit complicated. So imagine playing, grossly speaking, let's say $3 a game to play this, and the first like 4 or 5 times you could barely get a grasp of what you're supposed to be doing and what it takes to progress in the stages and to increase your score. I understand why. If this game was just a obstacle course where you're flying the plane around obstacles and they incorporated these characters into it, I think maybe this game would have been better received, but it's a little too complicated for its own good. It takes too many tries to figure out your objectives and the specific rules, because I still haven't nailed basic things. So 18,800. That's our high score, and then that's our top score in here. There to grab the jack. I guess they, you know what, I think they sort of, like, it's obvious, like, what a king is. It's obvious, okay, that's what a king is. With a queen, it's okay, it's obvious what a queen is. What a jack is, or a knave, I guess, isn't entirely obvious. And when you're going with, like playing card iconography, I guess they decided, or Miyamoto decided, because he's, you know, the main person behind this game, decided that to characterize the jack as being a jester, therefore being more of an analog to the Joker. Or is that, like, who's, like, so there's a king and a queen. Who's, like, the ace supposed to be? Like, and plus, I don't know if certain elements of this might be, like, more the interpretation of the different playing card iconography is maybe a bit more obvious in Japan than in the US, but I think what's really interesting, I know, like, Miyamoto had an interest in Alice in Wonderland, and that in Alice in Wonderland, like, I know, like, Warp Zone, like, I know, like, eating the mushrooms to grow larger in Super Mario Brothers was inspired by Alice in Wonderland. He's gone on record on that. So I wonder if, like, the idea of all these these characters based on playing card iconography was also, was based on Alice in Wonderland, but it's like you have a white rabbit that represents the Diamond Suite. So I guess, yeah. Actually, I think it wasn't. Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Let's look at the title. Let's look at the screen now. Yeah, Wonder Kingdom is conquered by gorillas. Yeah, so this is kind of a fusion of Alice in Wonderland and Donkey Kong. And maybe Snoopy and the Red Baron with the flying the biplane. I was just trying to think of different pop culture things. Because Peanuts was a thing in Japan. So we're not gonna record break this time around. But in 12 minutes, we are gonna take our 10-minute break, and I think we'll come back for a couple more hours of Sky Skipper. Once again, it's funny always saying, I say this a lot, I didn't know what to expect, or this wasn't what I was expecting, but all this same, I'm not sure what I was expecting, so I'm not sure if I could say that with integrity or not. But, yeah, so this is those beloved early days of getting into a game where I really don't know. You know, I could see this in the future for especially Nintendo Switch. Streams will be playing a game on Nintendo Switch. I could see this in the future being a game that is a warm-up game. Because it's there are times where I've switched between the Mega SG and the Wii U, or I've switched between the Nintendo Switch and the Wii U, or between the Nintendo Switch and the Mega SG. Those really being the only devices I've played games on, excepting my the laptop I was using for my my DOS games when I did Helios back in October. But I could see this being a game I use especially for Switch streams, where I could play this on the same system and then switch to a different game very easily, just going into the menu and selecting a different game. And man, these explosions. Like, I find this very charming. I haven't looked deep into this, I haven't watched any reviews of the game, but I have heard people say that this game wasn't that good. This wasn't, like, if this came out, I don't think this is a bad game. I think this is maybe an overly complex game for something that you expect people to have to pay to learn how to play. Like, if a game of this... If this came, I'm surprised this never got out. This was never released on NES. This came out on Atari 2600. This should have been an NES release. I think as an NES release, this would have been a good game. Especially since one of the first Famicom releases was Donkey Kong. Yeah, I think this would have been better received on NES. Because then you buy the game and you have all the time to get used to, learn its tricks, learn its rules. As a game that you're expecting people to have to pay to learn how to play, this is not a good game. But as a game that I paid for once and have as many times as I want to learn it, I feel like this is a good game. So yeah. And once again, damn it, I'll escape. It's just so crazy seeing a curse word in a Nintendo game. I can't think of any other instance of a curse word as strong as damn being used in a Nintendo game. I can't think of a couple of instances where, like, Nintendo might have used a word that was totally benign in the US, but in the UK release, it had a completely different meaning that was very offensive and controversial. That's the closest I could think of. I'm not even, especially on Twitch these days, I don't want to say it for risk of, you know, it's something, it's the kind of thing like where blind playthrough, and it's actually, I think, the controversy regarding this word, it was in one of the Mario Party games for GameCube. Yeah, I just don't want to risk saying it. Like, even in the context of it. But it's something that's absolutely not a swear word in any way in the US, but in the UK it was taken as a ableist, like, not just like an extremely, like, offensive term. But, like, in the US it means something totally different. In the US it has a more literal meaning. But I guess in the UK, it has context of referring to people who suffer from a certain illness or certain medical conditions. That I guess it came to be used a lot as, you know, one of those things that kids say or people say, like, not taking it seriously and meaning it as sort of an insult. So it was taken with offense in the GameCube release. It was one of the GameCube or Wii era Mario Party games, and Nintendo had to change it, and it no longer uses that word. It's one of those just localization fails where something that's harmless in one culture means something very different in another. Oh, speaking of localization, I did, you might have saw this. I didn't really intend for this to be a thing I discussed, but just for the sake of discussion, this being stronger while playing Silver Star Go. So I've been playing that, so, you know, just learn a lot more of the basics and strategy of the board game Go, or Baduk in Korean, or Weiqi, I believe it's called, in China. And it's one of those games, it's a game that has probably the most severely deficient English localization I have ever seen of a Japanese game released on a major home console. But that being said, I could basically, at worst, I'll just have to read the sentence twice, so I can understand what they mean. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, they had zero localization budget. It's probably either machine translated or translated by people who have the, like, extremely rudimentary English skills at best. But it's the kind of thing where I could tell they had no budget, and the fact that they even translated it, knowing that it would probably have a very limited appeal in the North American market, where it's something where they really went out of their way to make this for American players who were interested in Go. And compared to Japan, in English, there's not as many Go resources. It's much better now than it was even, like, 5 years ago. But where it's something where, like, there's, you know, what they call English, which I specifically define in terms of the use of ornamental English, where it is it's not any kind of sincere attempt at communicating, or someone's serious attempt at learning and understanding and communicating proficiently in the English language, where it's, like, easy to make fun of, but I will not, like, and I think in general you see this, the general rule I see followed, which I agree with. If someone's genuinely attempting to learn English as a second language, or attempting to genuinely, you know, communicate in English, and English is not their first language, then it's not fair to make fun of them. But when it's like a really rudimentary translation, where it's like sort of ornamental English used in a video game, like an early video game, or something used on a sign, because apparently there's a trend in Japan that I've read about where the use of English language text is seen as kind of an attractive design element, without it necessarily being intended to be read or used by English speakers, people who read or speak English. So you'll see, like, signs in English that I've seen examples of stuff where it'll just say text, 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 or English, 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 or just say the same. It'll say, like, you know, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, repeated, like, endlessly on a sign, just as, like, filler text, because it's fashionable to have something written in English, and it really doesn't matter what it is. Like, that kind of, like, English, as it's called, is something I find funny or interesting. But, like, when people are genuinely trying to learn or communicate, and they're just learning the language, that's I think, is something that's off limits in terms of, like, you know, making fun of it, or making fun of the person or whatever. But it's something like All Your Base or Belong to Us, where it's just sort of filler text in a video game, and it really isn't a genuine attempt at communication. And all that is to say, even though, like, if I had to rate the product, I'd have to say, if I had to give this game a review, that Go teaching game, where they teach you different formations and different strategies and rules and scoring and stuff like that for Go, I would have to say that the rudimentary English translation is a serious problem with the product. But that being said, the fact that they even went through the trouble of localizing it at all, and probably had no budget with which to do so, is something I have to also consider in saying that it's a rudimentary English translation. So once again, damn it, I'll escape. And I was interested to see if they were going to maybe go ahead and I guess go ahead and try to I guess localize or maybe censor the fact that yeah, it's a Nintendo game and it has a curse word in it. Actually, I'm interested. Actually, is this board 3? It just occurred to me. I'm not even really paying attention to how far I'm at in the game. Is my top... Actually, I wonder if is the top score... I have to check in the VOD and see. If that top score, is that a default score that's programmed into the game board? Like, if it starts with no high score established, it's going to just start the high score at that number? Or if this is actually... If I actually got that score today, and that's my best score of the day. Because I think what I'm looking at here is... Oh, I crashed. And I think that's my last plane. Okay, no, this one's my last plane. After this next plane, I'm going to have to go and take a look to see what this game's ESRB rating is. Because this game... I'm interested to see if it's E, E10, or T, because it has that damn in there. And it's not like it's... I mean, I'm sure Nintendo would... Like, the developers are kind of obligated to be honest and with how they present the game to be rated. Now, it's an interesting design choice that you specifically need to... You know what? I think the white gorillas... make... I think all of them are needed to make some enemies jump. Oh my gosh. Alright, so that's my last point. Well, hold on. What is this? Okay, alright. That'll be something fun. Okay. So... Sky Skipper ESRB rating. Let's see what this is rated. Wow! I'm shocked. This game is rated E. Not even E10 plus, but just straight up rated E. So I guess I'm really kind of disappointed in the ESRB. And, you know, I don't like the government rating things. I like the idea that it gets too close to censorship to me. To have the government rating things. I know that's standard practice in many countries of the world that enjoy lots of constitutional protections for freedom of speech and stuff, but I feel like, yeah, the government rating things is a little too close to government getting to decide what the public does and doesn't get to see. But on the other hand, with privately owned rating boards that aren't in the hands of the government, like the ESRB or the MPAA, you have shenanigans where... Like the MPAA, which rates movies in the U.S., they might give a certain movie from a certain well-known... Like, they might give... Like, there's an famous case with, hey, Sinful Emo Darkness, we're about time for my break. But, like, there's certain movies that from famous directors, like, for example, Steven Spielberg, where the MPAA, which is, you know, owned by the movie industry and not by the government, will give a Steven Spielberg rating movie a PG-13 rating. But they might give us this same movie with... similar or even less severe content, an R rating, and make it hard for that movie to be successful with a larger audience, where it's like, wait, Steven Spielberg could have this movie where this and that happens, and he gets a PG-13, but I have a movie that's less intense than that gets an R rating because I'm not famous. Or you could have stuff like the ESRB with this game in particular. Mind you, the game is not a violent game, but it has, this game I'm playing has the word, this has the word damn in it. There's no cutting around it. This game has the word damn in it. And, but somehow this game has an E rating. Not even E10 plus, but straight up E. And I really think that's unreasonable. This game should be, I believe, a, okay, so I'm gonna step away for 10 minutes. And then I'm coming back for another 2 hours of Sky Skipper. Actually, I do want to actually, no. Here's what I want to do. I want to have the game visible during my break, so I'm going to add in... Where is... Actually, no. We gotta go to... I just realized how... They know a lot... So because so many people never heard of this game, and I wanted to walk in and just see this and not see... So, we're going to... Video capture device. There we go. Just throw that right in there. Oh. And we are going to go back to the title screen. We're going to play Skyscraper Original Mode, because that is the mode where the attract mode actually appears. Wait a second. Hold on. There we go. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Scroll this over. And we're going to scroll that over. We're going to shrink this down to the corner. Get a sense of what the game's like. It's going to block some of the art. Put an art trip. Shout out to my artist, and I will be back in 10 minutes. Okay, and I'll be back. Hey everybody. Okay. So, I had to, well, yeah, I had to add a couple of extra minutes to the end of my break because I thought, hey, I'm on break. Why don't I put my clothes in the dryer? And I came to discover that the washing machine in my new apartment has irreversibly destroyed maybe 60% of the clothes I brought with me from my old house. So, that's fun. But let's blow up some gorillas to make up for it. Okay, back to title. You know, I was originally going to go for another 2 hours, but because of what I just discovered, let's make it... Okay. No, that's versus pinball. See, I'm so messed up from this. Okay. Let's make it break in. How about end in? Give it an hour. Give you more than an hour. Let's say an hour. 160. No, let's... hour... What? 70... let's give it an hour 15. See how far we can get. Now, I know it's off-center now, because I'm on the wrong game mode. So let's go back to the title screen. Open up high score mode. Let's see if I could blow off some steam by blowing up some gorillas. Alright. And... okay, so... okay. Yeah, I probably... like, if I knew I was only going to play for another hour, I probably would have did a shorter break. But, yeah, discovering what I just discovered is probably... I'm probably not in the mood to, stream for another 2 full hours. Alright, and... so... I'm probably going to be real quiet, especially since chat's quiet as well. Oh, and for anyone who may have come in while I was gone, I'll drop in. Alright. Yeah, so that's a little background on the game. You know, are they... you know, yeah, these guys, it's not like Defender. You know, this is a little... I just realized that this is a little bit like Defender. Yeah, several garments have huge holes in them and other stuff, but I am going to... I decided to just leave it, and not... I know a significant number of garments will have been destroyed. I didn't look through all of it. One thing I can say, luckily, not many of my favorite t-shirts were in the wash. A lot of other stuff was. Like, I lost a few pairs of jeans, which stinks because typically I'd only own 2 pairs of jeans at a time. I'd have one pair, that was my old pair, and then when that pair finally got too old and I couldn't repair it anymore, I'd get a new pair, and then eventually the newer pair would become the older pair, and so forth. I'm like, you know what, I only have 2 pairs of jeans, and jeans are the only pants I really wear. So, you know, if I wear my one pair and that gets dirty, and then I have to go to the other one, now I have to do wash again, and over the sake of 2 pairs of jeans. So I'm like, alright, let me get like 5 pairs of jeans. if they don't, so that'll last me a while before I have to, and it, probably 2 or 3 of them got wrecked. And when I say I bought jeans, like, I bought them within the month before, like, they're no more than, like, 2 months old. So it's like, in 2 months, I've gone through, like, a 4-year supply of jeans for myself. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Yeah, I'll deal with all that later. Yeah, and it's funny because, like, yeah, I'll worry about all that stuff later. And I cannot refuel. I have to get the last character. There we go. I got the last character and then immediately crashed, so. Yeah, that is definitely, I'm gonna make a YouTube video about this, because I'll look it up. I'll look up the reviews for Skyscraper. I'll see if anyone actually mentions that, like, oh, this is like the jingle for NES Pinball, which was really done by HAL, but though they were it was like the copyright says Nintendo, but it was developed by HAL. It just kind of goes uncredited. I mean, you kind of know by proxy the fact that Satoru Iwata talks about his experiences working all night to finish NES Pinball. In the last place I was at, I was actually using, like, a mini washing machine. Like, it was a little, I believe it was imported from Asia. It's this little tiny pinball machine that was intended for very small apartments. And I liked it. I mean, you had to do wash every couple of days at the absolute most. You had to do wash at least, like, every 2 or 3 days. It was a tiny little washing machine, but it was portable. It was basically like take the mini fridge concept to a washing machine. This game reminds you of Rampage on the NES. That's interesting. I never played Rampage. I know of it. I've seen the arcade version. I know a bit of its legacy, but I never really. I know you're going around wrecking buildings. I know there's a gorilla in that game. That's one of the characters that you're playing as wrecking stuff with. But I'm wondering, you know what this reminds me of, like, Defender. This is what this reminds me of. The idea of just flying around, saving characters. You're flying in an airplane. Wait, can I? All right, that is. I was questioning for a second whether or not that pole was a solid object in the game logic or not. It is, which is what I assumed. In fact, if that was not a solid object, that would have been really bizarre to me. Yeah, this is like Defender and Alice in Wonderland and Donkey Kong all mixed together. Yeah, the only thing that's not like Defender is the idea that, well, there's no radar telling you. It lists how many guys are left to save, but it does not specifically tell you, like, radar. Defender had a radar where you could get a sense of where on the course the remaining characters you have to save are. But in this game, it just has a list that ticks off as you collect them. It tells you how many are left and what their, I guess, their stats. You know what? I wonder if that is supposed to be the Eiffel Tower. Now that you mention it. But I just find it so... The graphical style is so interesting to me, because a lot of these objects seem like Atari... Like in television or even Atari-level objects, but then the character sprites... You know, I wonder if they had to sacrifice for a lot of the game graphics because the characters are so detailed. I wonder if that's what was going on. Yeah, because Donkey Kong, everything, the entire game map is on the screen at once. Nothing else is loading in. And this game, you have to have graphics. It's a scrolling game where graphics have to keep being loaded in and pulled out. So I wonder if, yeah, that would make sense. That would be why the characters are so relatively detailed, and the sprites are relatively the character sprites are well detailed, but the environments are so rudimentary. I think that's what's going on with this game. You know, I'll have to look up you know, to see what kind of reviews and coverage there are of Skyskipper on YouTube, because if there's not a lot of material or that covers some of the points I'd like to make or like to see people talk about, I will make it myself. Just like how with, you know, no one was making quite a video about what Thomas and Friends All Engines Go. You know, they never, no one was making the points I was making or the observations I was making, so I went ahead and did it myself. And then a lot of the people who were commenting on it are people who don't show their face on camera, which is their own business. I'm not saying that's a fault, but I did want to have at least one video critiquing All Engines, more videos critiquing All Engines Go by people, YouTubers that are comfortable showing their face on camera, because a lot of them are just voice clips. I mean, to be fair, a lot of the people, some of them are kids, and, you know, others might be shy or just have their own reasons not to show their face on YouTube, and I don't fault them for that at all. In fact, if I was starting from scratch, my entire online presence from scratch, I may have been a mic-only streamer. I may have been a mic-only YouTuber. But since, you know, the cat's already out of the bag, and I feel comfortable doing so, you know, because I have a bit of a background in acting and such, the colors of the flag are, yeah, you know, where was the flag at? Was the flag flying in the intermission scene between the stages? Where was the flag? So the... now, I barely use this feature. There is a speed up mode. Oh my gosh. Alright. Yeah, so he will not jump out of the castle if the gorilla is right there next to him. Yeah, so B is to accelerate quickly, and I guess that uses up more fuel. Now, yeah, I have to start using that as part of my strategy. Yeah, because I've been playing all this time, and there's only one character left for me to find, so I'm not going to bother. Yeah, I'm not... There we go. That clears the stage. there was a... Okay, I just put it together. Sorry. So, on the Eiffel Tower looking thing, there was a flag hanging from the top? Because we talked before about the Eiffel Tower, and I wasn't thinking in detail. Oh, the colors in the stage. Okay, for a second, I thought you might have even meant, like, that the flag had a, You know, but the thing is, if that was the same stage that had the Eiffel Tower looking thing in it, maybe that was intentional. I didn't mean to do that. I did, though. Oh, gosh. Okay, we got the white rabbit there. Okay. Alright. Now, I wonder... Yeah, this is a good... I like this. This is a good game. But, being asked to pay $3 per play in it, when adjusting for currency rates in 1981, I could see why it flopped. Yeah, so the color the flag that was red, white, and blue, well, the stage with the red, white, and blue coloring all over the scenery also had the Eiffel Tower looking thing. And it's so, the graphic is so rudimentary, I wouldn't have thought of, I would have never, I mean, maybe eventually, if I played this game long enough, maybe would have thought of it as the Eiffel Tower. But when you mention the shape of it, combined with the red, white, and blue color, it's like, yeah, that might have been intended to be the Eiffel Tower. Oops. Yeah, that was just an accident. I didn't turn back quickly enough. And that's the end of the game. Yeah, this is a game. This is gonna become... I think we found our next versus Pinball. Not in terms of, like, for... I mean, it's more a lot more complex than versus Pinball, so for that sense, maybe not. But just in terms of a game I could play for a half hour at the start of the stream, before I move on to something a little more meatier. Yeah, I think we found our next warm-up game that'll be in regular rotation. Nothing planned with it for the rest of this month. And I have a very different warm-up game that I'd like to use for some of maybe the N64 stuff I've been considering for August. Not a whole lot, just really one particular game I have in mind. But, yeah, I have... Yeah, but for... there's no point really, like, teasing it. It's nothing special. I was considering some certain modes of Mario Party Advance, which I have on the Wii Virtual Console, being a good warm-up, half-hour warm-up game for for any streams of stuff that's going to be happening on Wii U. Like, now that I'm adding the speed up into this, you know, knowing when to accelerate. Alright, I already got... Alright, so I already got... That was close. Okay. There you go. I don't... Yeah, I think the white ones maybe affect certain characters then... Like, effect in terms of making them fly up so I could collect them. There's one more character left. Those guys are actually easier to avoid than I would expect. There we go. That's the end of the stage. So let's see. King, Queen, and I guess the clown is supposed to be Jack. And I'm on my last plane still. You know what? I'm looking at the way the scoring works. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Look at it sitting on top of a red, white, and blue floor there. In the French tricolor. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be. At least, yeah, I think this is intended somewhat. But now the giant flowers, like I said, just the, you know, I think because the graphics of the environment look so much less sophisticated than that of Donkey Kong. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't know if it's short enough that, yeah. I mean, and the thing is, there are things in Earthbound, like I think it's the hotel theme from Earthbound. They really did, or like just flat out use like an in-copyright piece of music in a way that's really hard to justify as being fair use, or they're just sampling a small piece of it or something like that. And they still ended up releasing Earthbound on the Virtual Console. Apparently, all those legal problems were a lot of the reasons why Earthbound never appeared on the Virtual Console on the original Wii. And apparently there was a leak source that talked to I think someone from Starman.net or something about it. And then someone from Nintendo actually like acknowledged it. It's like, yeah, there are different issues about the game. I can't talk much about it. If you're interested in learning more about the Ozbooks without having to read them. You know, it's funny. It's like, I probably wouldn't go watch that because I'd want to read them all myself. Because they are public domain. They're very easy to get copies of, I'm sure. But on the other hand, I'm also not interested enough to have gone out of my way to... I have to... Once I get settled in, I have to start... and just casually reading random fiction again, because I tend to read non-fiction, more informational or historical type books. I need to go get into reading some non-fiction again. I mean, some actual fiction. Alright. Alright. Yeah, is there a lot of classics I still... Just in terms of more... Yeah. And then there's this whole system. If I really want to increase my score, there's this whole system of which characters you collect. Yeah, if a gorilla is directly above a character, the character will not jump when you knock them down. Alright, so what's over here? I don't even... Oh, I hit a cloud. Like, I'm sorry, just the clouds look so much like just, like, scenery that I wasn't really ready to get taken out by one. But everything I have left to do is over on the left, so. Yeah, those two are easy to get past. There we go, end of stage. Yeah, like, really, the stage, that's one, like, problem, I'll say, with the game. Yeah, so you do get more points for saving fuel. Okay. So only about, roughly, very grossly speaking, you're only 7,000, I'm only 7,000 points away from getting my best. I know, I do, based on how I've played and how, I do think that score... Oh, I didn't turn back in time. I thought I could double back super... You know what? Can I turn left and right just by hitting left or do I have to turn around? Yeah, because there's that, the plane actually takes, it's not like most flying games, the ship just instantly just zips the other direction. But in this game, because, you know what, I failed to consider. Okay. There's, yeah, it's that last moment right before. There we go. I'm getting a feel for what I could get away with in terms of doubling back. And I'm back. There we go. I'm getting a feel for it. Boom. Oh, I didn't. That was just clumsy. So it looks like Twitch is finally going to have a streamer that's going to be able to provide a regularly recurring source of Skyskipper content in the near future. Because right now, all the Skyskipper content on Twitch is from one user. So B is to accelerate. It's always in motion anyway. And I wonder how good the Atari 2600 version of this is. I mean, obviously it's going to be inferior, but is it interesting what inferior means when the game itself, a lot of the, like all the graphics other than the character graphics really do resemble an Intellivision game to me. Actually, come to think of it, that simple plain color look to it, you could say Popeye was kind of like that too. I've got to lure this gorilla off of the card. There we go. Yeah, you never heard of this game till today? I only heard of it a few years ago, and only a year or two after I heard about this game in the Wii U era. And only in 2018, which is relatively fast after I first discovered it, Hamster made history by including this, by making possible a re-release on the Switch, this being dumped from the only existing arcade cabinet of the game. And I'm just I guess the thing that shocked me the most about this game is the fact that it's E-rated and has the word damn in it. I don't think there's any other case of that. I guess it was just so cutesy and harmless. I wonder if Nintendo, like, did Nintendo deliberately deceive them? Like the ESRB, and released it and, like, just not show them that screen? Because if you did not show someone that screen, this game would be the most, like obvious E-rated game ever. Like, nothing could possibly be objectionable or violent about this. You might put, rated E cartoon violence at the most severe possible rating. But no, but, yeah, and if you did not see that, you would not suspect or expect that the word damn would be in the game. And I'm not offended by it, well, I'm offended by the ESRB. I'm not offended by the fact that the word damn is in it. I'm amused that there's actually swearing in a Nintendo game. A Nintendo, first-party Nintendo game. Because Nintendo, I mean, like, even by, like, the original version of Super Mario Brothers manual, I think, says die or kill a few times. But even in the NES era, Nintendo's, oh, wow! Okay, look at this, look at this. All I'm doing is I'm just pressing left, right on the D-pad. Each time he's going up, because it's accounting for the fact that he's turning around within the game logic. He's making a U-turn, so he's slightly up higher each time. And each time I go up and down, oh, I see. Going up and down, it's treating it as I'm flying. Yeah, it's harmless compared to some other ones, but I'm very sure the word, like, if when you look at the MPAA rating system, I'm very sure damn would get a movie a PG rating. I'm very sure of that. And I know it used to be that, like, movies, like, before the PG-13 rating, there was either G, PG, and R. And I think specifically it was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It was like, I think someone said, like, you know, this really isn't a G-rated movie. This shouldn't be a G-rated movie, but giving it an R rating is too severe. So I think there was a letter. Someone specifically recommended the PG-13 rating, and they literally just made it based on that letter. Oh yeah, didn't the movie originally get like an X rating because it had the word damn in it? Which is like, and this was back when X rating didn't have any like adults only connotations to it. And I guess X eventually got replaced with what we consider R now. And we need to refuel. How do I... You know what? I'm going to... I think this is game over. Last point. I need to get a feel for exactly what it takes to land safely. Okay, this side's clear. I only have one plane anyway. So this is not probably going to be a... Alright, so I have to... So I specifically need to fly into the flag from the left or right. That's how I refuel. I can't land into it from... I can't fly into it from the top. That won't count. It'll count as a crash. Oh, gosh. Just like that one. so... Okay. Alright, let's give this a shot. Okay. MGM had to pay a fine for Clark Gable to say damn. Yeah, Azure SD. Yeah, so I guess who was that? That fine wasn't paid to the government, though. It wasn't the government doing it. Didn't they have to pay it to, like, the sort of forerunner to what's now the MPAA, pretty much? And so, like, to get it, to have it screened in their theaters, they had to, like, deal with all their rules and regulations. Yeah, so 5,000. Do I still have the currency calendar up there? Yeah. So, and it's like some, like, board of, like, business owners or something. It's like, alright, they make the stupid little rules, whatever. It's not like it's, you know, theoretically you could open your own theater and do whatever you want. And so it's a little, I don't have as visceral of reaction to it as when it's like the government fining you for something. Because I've heard of, like, in England, like, there's a YouTuber in Scotland who made a joke, and I didn't even like the joke. My friends thought it was funny. I didn't even find it funny. I didn't find it attractive, therefore I just chose not to watch the video. But they got fined by the government for making the joke, and they got into actual legal trouble. And, like, and he was just going to not pay the fine, but they actually just, the government just garnished the money out of his bank account, so he couldn't even choose to, like, refuse to pay the fine and, like, get jailed for it. So, yeah, so that I thought it was ridiculous, because when I originally heard the joke, or heard of the video that it was in, I thought it was a stupid video. But then when I found out, like, the government, like, fined him for it, I was like, alright, that's, like, just because I don't like the video doesn't mean that I think he should be shut down by the government. Like, anyone who doesn't like it is free to choose not to watch it, which is what I did. The only reason I actually saw it is because when I heard of all the controversy. Alright. Oh wait, how do I... What am I even dropping? Okay, because you know what I just realized? I never thought twice about the fact that I was even I have to restart the game now that I've paused. But I never even thought twice about the fact that I was thinking it. But the bombs look like the head... Oh, you know what? We're gonna do this in real time. I have to look up the name of this Pokemon, save its picture. Okay. I have to save the picture, and then add it to my broadcast software. Okay. Save image as index.png. And it's like, actually, no. Can I add... No, I don't want to risk that. Okay, I know this way will work and do what I want. Unfortunately, because of the little minor emergency I talked about, I'm not entirely in the mood to stream for even... I reduced the stream from 2 hours down to 1 hour. And then, hold on. And, I mean, the post-break stream, it was going to be 2 hours. I put it down to 1 hour. I'm barely a half hour into that, and I already just I'm not super into, okay. And I really don't know how to delete image sources from Streamlabs OBS. So every image I've added in there is permanent, kind of, so far, until I figure out how to do that, if it's even possible. Even when I only use it one time and never use it again. Which is kind of wild, but... Actually, no, is it in... No, it is not in downloads. It isn't... Oh, come on, please. Oh, I didn't finish saving it. That's why it wasn't there for me to... Alright. There we go. Okay. Don't these bombs... This is Pachirisu from Pokemon. These bombs look like Pachirisu's head. And I don't know... it just occurred to me that I was thinking that. And yeah, when Giuliani wanted to choose what's art in New York City. Yeah, didn't he send the police... Now, this could have been Giuliani. It also sounds like the kind of thing that, that Bloomberg might have done. But I think it was either Giuliani or Bloomberg. Didn't they, like, wasn't there an art exhibition that was of graffiti art? And it wasn't, like, art that was, like, just randomly tagged on bills. It was, like, okay, this is an exhibition. We're going to have, like canvases and, like, and graffiti artists, like, made these art. Like on, you know, approved property on like canvases and didn't he like send the police to shut them down? Like they're in the Soviet Union or China or something like that. Am I confusing that with something else? I know, who was it? I forgot who it was. I forgot the rapper's name. I forgot. There was some rapper and who was the guy's name? The guy who keeps... It was, like, constantly... Jack Thompson? Hold on. Yeah, Jack Thompson, I think his name was. The guy who was, like, going on all the... Like, whenever there was, like, some kind of school shooting or mass shooting event, he would go on, like, CNN or whatever and say, oh, this is because of video games, da-da-da-da-da. And they'd, like, keep treating him as an expert, even though he kept getting disbarred from all the bar associations he was associated with because of his conduct and how ridiculous he was. And so he was writing original before video games. Oh yeah, the Cow Dung Virgin Mary. I know that was controversial. I didn't know Giuliani was apparently trying to actually ban it. So maybe it was Bloomberg that did the thing where he shut down the like graffiti exhibition that had nothing to do with vandalism. It was just like actually like on designated, like on canvas, and it was like a designated gallery, and he like tried to shut it down. Then what else was there? Yeah, that was like 97? Yeah, I think the Cow Dung Virgin Mary thing, I think that was 97. Yeah, well, some people deserve to get pissed off. Then what else happened? The reason I don't know if it was Giuliani who did the graffiti exhibition, like, and sent the police in to stop it. The reason I would feel like why Bloomberg would be in character to do something like that, because I think once, like, there was some incident where a bunch of people in Far Rockaway, just like working class people in Far Rockaway, got in a bunch of trouble because they had beer on the beach, and like they were having a picnic and they had like beer on the beach. And you're not supposed to have, like, open containers of alcohol in public New York City parks, I guess. And then, like, and it made the news. And then, like, a couple of days later, Bloomberg was in Central Park at some, like, hoity-toity outdoor concert thing, drinking wine. And it's like, yeah, talk about someone who can't follow their own rules. Well, I mean, Bloomberg didn't even want to follow his own, like, oh, I'm too special. Term limits can't apply to me because I'm so special. But, yeah, now I'm getting into political discussion, so I'm gonna stop it right there before it gets a little too intense. Let's see, what is it? It's 2:59. Let's give it another 10 minutes. Due to the minor emergency I talked about earlier, minor in the sense that it doesn't involve safety to life or limb, emergency in the sense that it's gonna cost me a lot of money that I don't have. Yeah, because of the minor emergency, I am kind of, I don't really feel like sitting here for another hour and a half like I would have originally planned. Actually, in 10 minutes, it would have actually been an hour into my 2 hours of planned post-break gameplay. So, I'm only ending the stream an hour short overall. An hour short in terms of gameplay time. Well, just under an hour short. Because when I say an hour, I usually don't count my hold screen at the beginning, and I don't count my 5 to 10 minute break screens. When I talk about when I say a 4-hour stream, I'm talking about 4 hours of gameplay time. I intended to have a 4-hour stream. 2 hours of gameplay, a 10-minute break, then another 2 hours of gameplay. But sort of to make up for it a little bit, coincidentally, I'm going to be streaming sooner rather than later. I'll be streaming again on Wednesday at 4, which I'll get into at the end screen of the stream. And we saved him. Okay, we got him before we had to. Oh no! I should have saw that coming. Alright. So let's see how far we can get. Yeah, you start off, your starting score is very limited. It's very low. But just clearing levels and getting that fuel bonus gives you a whole lot of points. So I guess clearing the levels efficiently is another important factor for scoring points in this game. Yeah, you can collect, you can take out... Yeah, I never finished. The one mechanical, aside from the fact that it's too complicated to learn and the amount it's, easily... The main mechanical flaw I'd say with this game is the fact that stages should end the frame after you collect the last character. Like, the frame should end, the game should freeze and should end at that point. And instead, the game continues for maybe 2 or 3 seconds more, during which time you could lose a life or something like that. I mean, imagine if after collecting the last dot in Pac-Man, the game, continued for, 2 or 3 more seconds, during which time you could run into a ghost and lose a Pac-Man. That would be considered, I think, a significant flaw in the game. And this is basically the exact problem this game has. You complete the last state, you collect the last character, the next stage should begin automatically. And you still have a few seconds. Now, if this is a game where you had to collect the last character and then make a safe landing, then it would be reasonable for you to be able to take damage after collecting the last character. And... Alright. Oh boy. Pac-Man, what, this was 1981? I think, wasn't Pac-Man 1980? I mean, they're made by same companies, but just, I know what you mean in terms of just establishing that as a convention of games. Wasn't there... Yeah, in terms of establishing that as a convention of games, I don't know the year Pac-Man came out. Yeah, I don't know the year Pac-Man came out. I feel like it was 1980. Or if it was either 1980 or 1981. I don't think it was later than 1981. And, oh yeah, I'm waiting for him to jump up. I have to defeat more gorillas for him to jump up. And yeah, we got him. I keep forgetting to. I have to remember to use the fuel button. Use I guess the turbo button to just make him travel faster. Alright. Yeah, and for at least these first two stages, you shouldn't. It seems like if you're playing efficiently, in at least the first two stages, you shouldn't have to refuel in the first two stages if you're playing efficiently. Yeah, no, Miss Pac-Man is probably objectively the better game, which is ironic considering that Miss Pac-Man was originally a hack of Pac-Man. It was like an unauthorized game that Bally Midway licensed the rights to from the company that made the unauthorized game. And because of that, their weird, like, trademark and copyright and royalty issues with Miss Pac-Man to this very day. Like there is a company, I forgot the name of the company. Was it Jack Specific? I forgot who purchased the royalty rights to Miss Pac-Man from the original company that Bally Midway, and then as a result Namco, purchased the rights from. So Jack Specific believed that they had purchased the rights to make Miss Pac-Man games, or to make like re-releases of Miss Pac-Man for like those little like joystick plug-and-play games, or those tabletop arcade units you see in toy stores and Walmart and stuff. And so Namco sued Jack Specific. I believe that was a company that bought the royalty rights to Miss Pac-Man. And so they're like, hey, we have the royalty rights to Miss Pac-Man. We're going to release a Pac-Man, our tabletop games, and our plug-and-plays and all that. And so Namco sued Jack Specific and won. And it turns out that, like, Jack Specific misunderstood what they were buying the rights to. They didn't buy the rights to publish Miss Pac-Man. They purchased the rights to collect royalty fees for releases of Miss Pac-Man, which Namco owned the copyright for. So you had this weird situation where Jack Specific has the legal right and entitlement to get a certain percentage for each copy of Miss Pac-Man sold. But they have no say whatsoever in whether or not Bally Midway, or no, not Bally Midway, whether or not Namco releases new versions of Miss Pac-Man. So basically, like, but Jack Specific has a window seat in this, they have a back seat in this, where they have no control of releasing the game, and Namco has the right to release it. Wow, that was our best score of the day, actually. That was our best score of the day. So, actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to... Actually, I guess I'll have to... we only have a minute left of gameplay. I don't remember how much this was. This must have been... Okay, it definitely happened, because I remember the podcast I was listening to when I learned about this, and this podcast was when I was still in the last place I lived, so it was sometime in 2017 that because I remember driving in my car, and where I was driving at the time I heard this being reported in the podcast. So it was it was probably in 2018 or 19 this story happened. I can't say more than that. Yeah, I really wish there was a physical compilation, But honestly, the fact that these games were released at all is more than I would have ever dared for. Because speaking of copyrights and royalties, there was a third-party company, I believe their name was Itagaki, that did, like, Nintendo designed Donkey Kong. Nintendo hired Itagaki to actually engineer the program code for the game. And Nintendo took the code that Itagaki made and used it to make Donkey Kong Jr. But they did so without paying any royalties to Itagaki. So Nintendo and Itagaki were in legal litigation. And because of these legal issues, I believe the first version, the first re-release of the original arcade ROM code of Donkey Kong was on Nintendo Switch in Arcade Archives. When they finally, I guess, worked out the copyright problems between Itagaki and Nintendo. So, alright. It is the end of today's stream. About 50 minutes closer than I would have planned, but like I said, I have a lot on my mind right now after the unfortunate fate of my laundry, and that laundry load containing most of the clothes I brought with me to my new region. Yeah, I gotta work out what's gonna happen next with that. I have to also examine which clothes are destroyed, which may be there are a lot of socks that are messed up, but they may not. I don't wear my socks in a visible manner, so they could have holes in them or be miscolored without me having to worry too much about how they look. It's just a mess. So, my next stream. No, you're right. It should be Wednesday. It should be Wednesday. Because I was gonna say my next stream is gonna be Wednesday, and then I look and I'm like, the second it appeared on. Okay. I know we don't have to change it on screen. I know I've said Wednesday. Alright. Okay, and Streamlabs is being slow as usual. Okay. Next planned stream is going to be... Hold on. I have to fix this before I can even deliver. There we go. And of course, moments later, I'm gonna have to change this. Moments from now, I'm gonna be changing this over for the game I'll be playing the week after, the stream after next. But yeah, so Wednesday it will be my 100th stream. I'll be doing. It'll be about a 2-hour stream. It'll be a bunch of Sonic the Hedgehog single credit attempts, where I'll be attempting to beat the entire game without losing a single life. I'm a good person. Sonic the Hedgehog is probably it's my first video game I ever played, and nowadays it's one of the few games, platform, especially retro 8-bit platformers, that I could beat on command in a single sitting. It'll take about an hour to 100% the game, and about halfway through the stream I'm going to do a little aside where I'm going to rank all the games I've played on stream, the 32 different games I've played since in my previous 99 streams, from my least favorite to most favorite. Some games will get very low on the list, even though I think they might have actually been good games, but I might not have had fun streaming them. Some of you may know what game I'm talking about in particular. But yeah, so let's see who is around right now. Hey, okay, I've got a sense of who I'll raid today, but right now I'm just going to I'm sorry. I mean, including the end card here, I'm maybe about 45 minutes short of where I normally would be streaming at, of where I'd normally be at. But yeah, so I'm cutting it a little short to have to deal with the my laundry crisis. But I will see you all next time, and thank you very much for watching. I'm sending you over to the McReezy, who is playing Metroid Prime 2. So I'll see you around.